Kia ora, and welcome to Kiwis on Tour, your all-access pass to the biggest names flying the New Zealand flag on golf tours around the world. My name is Will Toogood, and we're diving deeper into the action, the travel, the grind, and the stories that aren't always told by the scorecard. And what better way to kick things off than with our first guest, who is on an absolute heater right now. He is a two-time Jenny and Holmes Charles Tour champion, a two-time Challenge Tour winner, a four-time DP World Tour champion, an Olympian, and now, in the past month, he has won the Myrtle Beach Classic and the Canadian Open to become a two-time winner on the PGA Tour. He's from Auckland, he hits the ball hard, and he plays fast. His name is Ryan Fox. Welcome. Thank you very much for giving up some of your hard-earned and well-earned rest time to chat with me today. How are things in the Sunshine State of Florida? That's a great backdrop you've got.
Yeah, it's not bad. Just in our little rental place in Florida, which is cool. It's I would say it's probably about 28 degrees right now, at like 8:30 at night. So it's a little warm, a little sweaty still, but we've enjoyed it over here this year. It's been a bit different, but certainly a bit easier than traveling back and forth and dragging kids around, not having a base. So it's been awesome, and we'll definitely be looking for something a bit more permanent now after the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, sounds a lot warmer than it is back here in New Zealand, so make the most of it. And speaking of New Zealand, the game of golf is in the position, best position it's ever been in, really. Amateur level, pro level, with yourself and our other Kiwis on tour. How satisfying is it for you to see all the way through the ranks? Our course is now rated amongst the best in the world, and coming home and seeing the game in the position that it's in.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, to be honest. I guess I'll start with the professional side. Obviously, Lydia's been carrying the torch for a long time, even though she's still so young. It feels like she's almost a grandmother out on tour now. She's been out there that long, and she's still less than 30. It's crazy. But with obviously myself, Dan Hilly in Europe, you got Mike, Nick Folk winning this year. Ben Campbell has been doing some great things the last couple of years. I think the Fiona Zhu playing on the LPGA Tour this year. We've got some pretty exciting things happening in professional golf. I know we've always kind of had people playing on tour, but I feel like there's more now than there was when I was growing up, especially. And that's really cool. The amateur game's really strong. I know we've got some really good young amateurs coming through, both women and men. And then obviously recreationally, the game is as popular as ever. Since COVID, it's had a massive boost. I've got a lot of mates at home that, picked the game up late. I think, finally figured out that having a beer on the golf course, hang out with your mates for 5 hours is actually not that bad, even if you've got to chase a little white ball around. So I think, lots of people are starting to figure that out now, whether that's from COVID or just, a bit more of a spotlight on the game at home. And, obviously you talked about golf courses. I mean, Tahiti's, one of the hottest names in golf right now is a golf course. Tiari Links is not too far behind. It's pretty incredible. Obviously Cape Kidnappers and Kauri Cliffs before that, but there's so many golf courses being built at the moment. New Zealand is really a tourism destination now, and I hear it a lot out on tour, like, oh, you guys got some great golf courses. Tahiti's generally the one that comes up for the most part, but to have guys on tour talking about, I mean, Rory came down and played in his time off last year. It's kind of speaks for itself in that regard. We're very well regarded now in the world of golf, and it's hopefully it continues. I mean, we're on a good run, and it's great to see. And I certainly notice when I come back at the end of the year, like, probably getting recognised a little bit more than I did, and I think that's purely just the profile that golf has in the country now, which is awesome.
Yeah, Yeah, and speaking of amazing runs, how does it feel to have played a part in that rise and that popularity of golf?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really necessarily think about that so much. I just go and whack a white ball around, and I've happened to be half decent at it for the most part, and just got stuff that I like that I want to achieve, and um, if that gets people involved and gets people to watch golf, that's awesome. And judging by how many messages I've got lately of people missing work on Monday mornings and various other things, it seems like there's quite a few people pretty chuffed with how I've been going, and that having all that support's pretty unbelievable, really. It's taken me a long time to get through all the messages, not just after the wins either. After the US Open, a couple other events, like people saying it's great to see you and get some coverage and stuff like that, and it's awesome to get all of those. And the sport from back home is great, and if I've played a small role in helping grow the game in New Zealand, then all the better.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you for sure there are a couple Monday mornings over the last wee while where not much work's being done in the Golf New Zealand office.
Yeah.
And then when you do have those chances to come back home and play a bit of casual / fun golf, does that help at all with the pro side of things? Just getting back to sort of basics, as you say, chasing a white ball around?
Yeah, I mean, for me, playing is the most important thing anyway. Like I take all my confidence from hitting shots on a golf course and doing what I envisioned. Like I get a bunch of perfect 7-irons on the range, but I get more out of hitting that one perfect 7-iron on the golf course. Getting back and getting to play with mates and enjoying the social side of golf, I really enjoy. Obviously, I feel like when I get home, I still need a break from it, but it's different than the daily grind of tournament golf and practicing and doing all of that. I go and see Marcus a bunch and stuff like that, but just going out with the boys, having a bash around, and I've had the same group of mates I played golf with since I was 12, 13 years old. Awesome. So if anyone's going to bring me back down to earth real quickly, it's those guys. And they managed to do it pretty well.
Yeah, we all need mates like that. That's for sure. And Golf in New Zealand, our domestic tour is producing those names that you mentioned earlier of our pros doing well. And you had an experience where you came back in 2021 and you won back-to-back events on the Jenny and Holmes Charles Tour. You went something ridiculous, like almost 50 under across 8 rounds. And then 2022, you have your big year in Europe. How important do you think like a thriving domestic tour is for that sustained success of golf in New Zealand?
Yeah, look, it's great. I mean, it's certainly not something that you can have a career on playing it, domestically in New Zealand. You do need to get out, but it gives you that stepping stone to do that. If you play well, if you can compete in a Charles Tour event, you can be ready to go to Q school and stuff like that. And when I hadn't played a Charles Tour event in I don't know how long, until 2021. I was always away basically, and then if I was at home, I was kind of trying to take a break from a pretty grueling tournament schedule, and it actually worked really well in 21. I had a bunch of time off with COVID, was trying to put off going back to Europe because we still had quarantine, obviously. And, having Muriwai and Gulf Harbour back to back, actually Gulf Harbour, Muriwai, that was the order, I think. Back to back, I could drive to both of the events. And it was just a really good way to keep sharp. And, there's really good players playing. Mark Brown obviously plays a lot of them. Gary, Ben Campbell was playing at the time, coming back from injury. You can beat those guys. And, I felt like I shot some pretty damn good scores to do it as well. I felt like my game was ready to go back on tour, and it took a little while to kind of get there. But I also think winning at any level is pretty big. It's important, and I could take a lot from those. I hadn't won an event since 2019 before those Charles Tour events. And, to know I still had it down the stretch, like Dan and I had a great battle for 4 days at Muriwai. And that really got the competitive juices flowing. And, I played really well in that last round to get him. And I know he was a bit gutted, and I was pretty chuffed to get the little, young upstart there, and just to have those experiences, even at a lower level than the DP World Tour.
Yeah,
I felt like when I got back and got in that situation again, I had the tools to be able to handle it. And golf's a funny game. You don't get to win that often. Like, you think of a Hall of Fame career on the PGA Tour as winning one to two majors in like 7 or 8 times, and most of the guys that are in it have played more than 300 events. Like that's you compare that to the All Blacks winning record, or it's laughable, right? But
for sure,
golf is just one of those sports it's really hard to win. We've been blessed to grow up in an era, well, myself personally, where Tiger was so dominant, and you almost got numb to the fact that he'd win every third event or whatever it was. And now, obviously, Scotty Scheffler's on an incredible run, but you look at guys like Rory have been at the top of the game for a long time. Like, he's won a ton of events, but it's still, Tiger was just that crazy level. And to see, even Rory's been one of the best in the game for 15 years now. It's a hard game to win at, and to any level you do it on is important.
Yeah, for sure. Like the sustained success is so incredibly rare, and to see runs like Scotty and Rory consistently. I saw a stat, he's like the only one who's been in the top 10 for the last 15 years or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's when you think of that, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
I mean, I've played with him a few times, and I can understand why he is that good. But like, to that level of consistency of wins and top 10s, and even though he had a long major drought, like you look at the results he had in majors over that 10-year period was crazy. And to be able to do that in golf is, we've been lucky. Like, as I said, the generation we're growing up on, we've gone from Tiger to Rory. We've got Scotty Scheffler now. You throw in, there's a few others in the mix that have been pretty damn good over that time as well. Like, we've had a pretty amazing era for golf, I think, to watch.
Yeah, and I guess when you think about that sustained success, because you start playing golf at such a young age, right? Some of these kids are, as soon as they're able to hold a club, they're into it, and then to play the game for such a long time and to continue to perform at such a high level is so difficult. Like, we have some of our academy members over at the Toyota Junior World Cup now. These are teenagers playing the game, and got me kind of thinking, like, those early years, your Eisenhower Cup, World Cup, and then the Olympics, like, how much does that representation, playing for New Zealand, putting on the silver fern, like, how much does that mean to you, and how much will that be meaning to these kids that are representing us at the moment?
I mean, it was massive for me. Like, I grew up in a sporting family where representing your country was the biggest thing, right? Like, obviously, dad with the All Blacks, my mum's dad played cricket for New Zealand, and golf again is not being an individual sport. Like, even playing on tour, like even though I play under the New Zealand flag, I get announced on the tee every round from New Zealand, Ryan Fox. Like, that's it. Like, that, but that's the extent of it. Like, for the most part, I'm playing for myself. Week in, week out. And when you make a team, it just adds something. I think it adds something a little bit extra special. I'd made a bunch of New Zealand squads and other teams to go away, but the proper recognition for me from my family was the Eisenhower team that I made. It was like, that's the pinnacle of amateur golf in New Zealand, making that team, and like that was the first time I personally felt I could say I was the third generation of my family to represent New Zealand. Like, even though I'd played under the New Zealand flag and New Zealand colours before, that was the one that got it for me. And then obviously the Olympics is a bit of a step up from that. Not just in terms of like global sporting event. Like, the Olympics is the pinnacle of global sport. And to represent your country and be a part of that. Last time I was lucky enough to go to the opening ceremony, which I'd missed the first couple of times, and you get even though the weather was horrendous, you get a real feel of what it's like to represent your country, and that is really, really special. And I'm sure all the guys and girls representing New Zealand now get that same feel. It is the first time you get announced as part of a team. It is very cool, and you get to wear that silver fern, and you just kind of hope you're not playing somewhere really, really hot where the prescribed black uniform was a little bit nasty.
Yeah, for sure. And so speaking more generally about your life on tour and what it means to be a professional golfer, I mean, this month aside, probably an irregular in terms of like back to back high caliber events. You've been qualified for a major, like 3 or 4 days out from it. When it's sort of a bit more stable, if that can be a thing in professional golf, how do you remove yourself at all and disconnect from golf, to just sort of try and be Ryan Fox, the person?
Yeah, I mean, like schedule wise can be hard anyway. Like, especially the PGA Tour has done a great job of making you feel like you always have to play, trying to get into something, trying to get points, whatever. And I feel like the last couple of years, that's all I've been doing. Like, I playing golf, and then I finally get a week off, and the week off is just literally sit in air conditioning for a week and chill out and just go, okay, this is great. But in terms of like escape from golf, I mean, family's number one for me. I've got 2 young kids. They're 4.5 and 2 now. So that puts everything into perspective pretty quickly. Like, I think my eldest has got a concept of winning now. She went after Canada. She runs on the green. Daddy, did you win? And there was a trophy, and then she was pretty much all worried about the sand in the bunker and going to play in a big sand pit. But like, there was a little bit of an understanding of that. The youngest wouldn't have a clue. But it's, at that point, like, I come home and it wouldn't matter if I shoot 60 or 80. If I come dead last or first, like, if I come first, it means they probably get to stay up a little bit later, and they're probably quite excited about that. But like, outside of that, it doesn't really matter for them. I'm still dad, and that that puts it into perspective really quickly. And makes you manage your time a little bit better and stuff like that. Like, I don't just now go, well, I'm just going to go to golf, and you go out there all day and you do achieve something at least. With kids now, it's like, well, if I'm going to go to golf, I may as well do something and make the most of the time I'm going to be there. Even if it's only going to be there for 2 or 3 hours, almost achieve more in that 2 or 3 hours than I probably used to in 8, back in the day, because I just you had no time pressure for anything. And the other thing for me is probably fishing.
Nice.
It's the one true thing I can do. I can not look at my phone. I can not think about anything to do with golf, and I can swear and yell and do whatever I want at losing a fish, and I can be completely focused on that. And luckily, being in Florida's a pretty damn good place for fishing. There's a lot of guys interested in fishing on tour as well, on the PGA Tour especially. There's quite a few guys in Europe as well, but over here, like, you can always chat to some guys about fishing, and bass fishing's really popular over here, which I've done a bit of. I'm still kind of figuring out how to do it, but Florida's pretty famous for some pretty good sea fishing, and I've done a bunch of that and weeks off and stuff here, and it's amazing what 4 hours on the water can do for mental clarity. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that, because for someone like me, 4 hours on the golf course is great for mental clarity, whereas I can imagine you just want to get away from it sometimes. Yeah,
and it sounds weird because golf is obviously that for so many people.
Yeah.
But to put in perspective, everyone that's played golf gets pissed off. Right? Everyone. And if you do it every day and it's your job, it's going to get to you eventually, and you need an escape from it.
Yeah.
And that's what, everyone on tour has figured out, that they need something. It takes people a long time to figure out what they really like to do. Sometimes having a family is what it is. They just get an escape that way, or music is it for some people, surfing, whatever. But it sounds funny saying I need an escape from golf, but like, it is. You do need it, and there's been plenty of times where I'll just roll out to a pond on tour after I've had a practice day, and just going to cast a lure for an hour in a pond is enough to be like, oh yeah, that I'm a bit happier about things now.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And you know, then I guess switching to the other side, behind the scenes of your game, we know you can hit the long ball. Are there any, like, how much time do you have to go with a coach or whoever it may be and say, all right, I've got X amount of time before this course. I know I'm going to need this kind of skill, and I don't think I'm quite there. How much time do you actually have to just go and work on your game?
Not a lot, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done a little bit in the off season the last couple of years, but not much. Like I feel like right now the blueprint for my golf game is there. It's just making sure I don't kind of veer too far outside the lines, basically. Like, and I've done a little bit of that lately. Marcus is traveling a bit more now. I'm spending a lot more time with him, so it's easier to stay within the parameters that we want.
Yeah.
But I feel like for the most part, I've got the tools needed to pretty much compete at any golf course.
Yeah.
Like, and that's a good place to be. Obviously there's still stuff that I want to work on and get better at, but it's not something that I sit down and go, okay, I need to do this. I need to learn how to hit this shot. It's like, okay, my short game's a bit untidy at the moment. Okay, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, what's my blueprint here? Yeah, okay, that's what it is. And then just spend a bit of extra time doing it.
Yeah.
Probably the only time lately I've really worked on anything was the back end of last year, and that was coming back from injury. I had a torn labrum in my right hip, and I couldn't swing how I was swinging. I had no pain, which was the frustrating thing, but I just couldn't get into the position that I needed to be in my golf swing, which was always a strong point, like holding the angle on my way down, to be technical about it. I couldn't do that with the right hip. It just, if I did get into that position, it would hurt, and my body just wouldn't let me get there. And so I basically had to unlearn a bunch of bad habits that I picked up through injury and go back. And that took a little bit to get right. And even into the start of this year, I was really close. And then the week before Myrtle Beach, Marcus came up and we found a couple of really good fields, and that kind of turned the corner, basically.
Wow.
Like it was, the golf game was, it felt like it was close, and then at times it felt like it was, the scores were really far away. And then, Marcus came up. I felt like I didn't score very well in Dallas the week before Myrtle, but I played, I had a lot of really nice shots. I drove the ball really nicely, which I hadn't been doing. And then all of a sudden I win the next week and go, oh shit, it wasn't as far away as I thought it was. And then from there, everything just felt, probably like it did a couple of years ago, where I felt like no matter what stage I was on, my golf game was competitive.
Yeah. So, because I remember you spoke like pretty, candidly as you do about the hip injury and the struggles that you had and adjustments that you made. Is it fair to say those adjustments just worked? And, were you now seeing the success?
Yeah. I mean, it was frustrating last year because I remember having arguments with both Marcus and the coach I was using in Europe.
Yeah.
Jamie Goff. I'd never had it before. I felt like I couldn't do something. They'd asked me to do it, and I just couldn't do it. And I felt like on the golf course, if I ever got the wind out of the left, I felt like I could never start the ball far enough left to keep it on the golf course, which was like I hit a fade anyway, but I never felt like I had control over it. And it was, didn't really know what was causing it. And it just didn't feel right. But I had no pain. I had no inkling that anything was injured, other than like the right hip would get tight every now and again. And then I got a scan. I actually had quite a big tear in the labrum, and it's like, oh, well, that actually makes perfect sense. And then, like it was just the unlearning. Like I'd got into such bad habits with that, that even when it was healthy, obviously I'd learned the patterns of that. And it just took a while to find like I'd got really close at the back end of last year to getting the golf game where I wanted. Like I had a lot of better shots than I was last year, but I'd just still throw a really bad one in there out of the blue. And that was kind of ruining rounds and ruining my confidence. And then, we just kind of found one little feel and that just went through the whole bag. And all of a sudden, coming down the stretch at Myrtle Beach, when it felt like it really mattered, I hit a bunch of really good shots. I was like, oh, okay, I can do this again. Sweet.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was fine.
That's incredible. And I'm so happy you brought up the stretch at Myrtle Beach, because I think you were like 1 under through 9 in that final round. And then bang, you drive the green on 10, end up with a tap in birdie, and then it all just starts rolling from there. Like, I wanted to ask, was there a click moment where it just went, bang, okay, we're on here?
A little bit, yeah. Like, I always felt like I was kind of 1 or 2 shy, but I hit some really good golf shots pretty much the whole front 9.
Yeah.
Like, I maybe hit 1 or 2 bad shots, and my short game saved me, which is, again, something that kind of wasn't happening earlier in the year. And then I think I remember standing on the 13th fairway, and I had a pretty uncomfortable shot for me to try to get 3-wood on the green, and we were waiting for a while, and I had to draw a 3-wood and hit it really hard over water.
Yeah.
And not that the water wasn't really in play, but hitting a big high draw isn't really my shot.
No,
and
right.
I just remember standing there going, well, if you want to win the golf tournament, you got to take the shot on. And I hit the exact shot I wanted to hit, pitched on the front of the green. I 2-putted for birdie, and then got on the next green. And because it was a par 5, I assumed the guys behind were going to make birdie, and I was going to be 2 back again. All of a sudden, they both made bogey, and I'm tied for the lead.
Yeah.
And I had about a 6-footer for par on 14. I had a decent second shot from the right rough, hit putt a little hard, and then that was when it was like, okay, I got a chance here. Just basically sack up and do it. And I hit that shot. I hold that putt. I hold a really nice putt on 15. Didn't play 16 overly well, but it was a nice 2-putt. Then I had a really good tee shot into 17, made the putt. And I still felt like I needed one more. Hit a couple of good shots into the last, just missed a fairway, which kind of made it hard to get to the flag.
Yeah.
Didn't hit a very good, I had a putt where I wanted to in regulation, but I completely misread it with the grain. And obviously, at that point, I thought, well, it's still going to be a good week. You're probably going to finish 2nd or 3rd, but I'll take it. And then all of a sudden, Matt Hughes bogeys the last, and I'm in a playoff. And then I throw a chip in there, and I'm like, oh, okay. I just won on the PGA Tour. What the hell just happened? Like, it kind of happened that quick.
Yeah. Such a weird experience it must have been for you. You've just hit the shot of your life up until that point, but it hasn't won you the golf tournament yet. Like, you've now got to wait for these guys to miss putts. Like, was that like, did you have to sort of mute your celebrations at all? Like, yeah,
completely. Like, I to be honest, I didn't think that was going to win it. I thought that was probably just going to keep me in it. Yeah. And that's all I really wanted, as another chance. Yeah. Because I didn't feel like I actually felt like I had a really good tee shot on 18 the first time, and it just clipped the edge of the trees and spat it left. Yeah. And it was like, oh, it's going to be another one of those playoffs where I'm kind of get a little bit screwed. And then it went the other way, right? I was the one that should have been out of the playoffs, and I chip in for birdie. And, Harry's putt, I wasn't that nervous over Harry's putt. And I really like Harry. He's a great man. If he had to hold it, fair play to him. Great. I really like Matt Hughes as well. Same thing. But Harry's straight off the face kind of never looked like it was going to go in. Like, I kind of had enough of an angle, and it always looked wide. Yeah. But I didn't have a great angle for Mac's putt, and he's one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. Was like, okay, this is going in. At least I'm going to be back to the tee and give myself a chance. And all of a sudden he missed it, and I turned to my caddy and I'm like, oh shit, we just won.
Unbelievable. It's cool that you talk about your relationship with Higgs there, because it was a super underrated moment where you hold the chip, he turns around, gives you a big grin, and then a little low 5 on the way. And I was remember thinking at the time, like, that's so cool. Like, in the heat of battle, he's got the appreciation for an outstanding shot and just seemed genuinely stoked for you.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really remember it in person, to be honest. But yeah, I saw the reaction afterwards, and that was cool. But I would, if someone does, I've been on the receiving end of playoffs, and someone does something incredible, you've just got to tip your hat and go, okay, fair play. Russell Knox hold a couple of bombs on me, Victor Perez hold a couple of bombs on me at the Dutch Open in 22. You can feel hard done by, whatever. Like, you can look at the stats afterwards and go, damn, that's very unlikely. But weird stuff happens in playoffs anyway. Like, and if someone does something like that, you just got to go, okay, I gave it my best shot. Like, you feel worse, I think, if I flub my chip and make bogey, you're like, oh, damn, I cost myself that. Like, that's harder to take than the other way where, like, someone screws you over because they've done something incredible, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. And, I mean, because I think you hadn't won a playoff going into, either Myrtle Beach or Canada. Now you win 2. I don't suppose there's any way you can prepare for a playoff. Is it just mindset and strategy switching from stroke play to essentially match play?
I don't really know. I just feel like you've got to give it a crack. And maybe there's not as much to lose. And I know that sounds weird, but in a playoff, no matter how many guys are in a playoff, you're never finishing worse than second.
Yeah.
Like you're out there just to straight try to win it. So like being a bit more aggressive is not the worst thing, I feel like. I have won a playoff before. I won one at like the Jeep Pro-Am.
Right.
I don't even know what year, like 2015, 14, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only time. I've had a couple of good goes in playoffs and not had it go my way. But never felt like I really did anything wrong in those.
Yeah.
So I could take that in that respect, going, okay, well, hey, I at least controlled what I could control well. Yeah. And I just tried to do the same thing. Obviously, that Canadian playoff was an interesting one. Like, both of us probably stuffed it up for 3 holes, and then I probably hit the shot of my life on the 4th. But, like, you can only really play what's in front of you. Like, you said it's a little bit like match play. Like, if you win a match and you shoot 79 and your opponent shoots 80, and the guy in front of you is playing match play and he shoots 65 and loses, that's just how it works. It doesn't have to be fair. And that's pretty much what happened in Canada. We just kind of had a pillow fight for 3 holes, and then
pulled out.
It happened.
And on that shot, I don't know how sort of data driven or analytics driven you are, or whether it's something you put any focus on, but you're up 96 places. You're up 96 places strokes gained year on year. Is that something for approach? Is that something you've been working on?
Not really. I think it's just a product of me having some confidence again and feel like I'm swinging it well. Like, if you look back on that year that I had in 22, I think approach play was really, really good that year.
Yeah.
And it dipped a little bit probably in 23 and 24. 24, understandably, with the hip.
Yeah.
A little bit. And just I got a feeling, and I've always felt like I've hit my irons pretty good. I've had pretty decent distance control. Worked a bit more on my wedges this year. Like, I did a lot of that in 22, and then kind of not necessarily stopped doing it, but just had other stuff I felt like I needed to work on.
Yeah.
And then, this year working on the wedges has been a bit more of a focus. And I think that translates pretty well into my full swing. Yeah. And then obviously, if I drive the ball well, I'm generally going to have a few wedges in, and it's been nice to actually, the last few weeks take advantage of that a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, like that shot on the 4th playoff hole, 3-wood, and how on earth did you get it to stop like it was a pitching wedge?
I was straight into the wind. That helps. We had at least a club of breeze into us.
Yeah.
And I had a yardage where I knew I had to cut it. If I hit a bullet, like 3 was going over the green. I think I only had like 260 yards on shot length. So what's that? 230 meters, basically, just over 230 meters, a little bit downhill. And it's like, if I hit a little cut, it kind of rises up into the wind, and it should be a good number. If I bullet it, it goes through the wind, and I hit the exact shot I wanted to hit. And as soon as I hit it, I was like, this is either perfect or it's swimming, and I'm not 100% sure which one it's going to be. And then I didn't actually see the ball land. It was quite hazy at that point. I heard the crowd reaction, and then kind of let my eyes refocus a little bit, and it was like, okay, yeah, that one was perfect.
Yeah. Rip it. No, it's honestly a hell of a shot. Rightly called by yourself as the shot of your life. I do want to really briefly talk once again about the moment during your acceptance speech where your daughter has decided she's got the best sandpit in the world. That not only is a career moment, but as just a family memory moment, that must rank pretty high for you.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be a really good 21st video to show for her, I think. Yeah, like it's cool, but it goes back to the perspective thing, right? Like I'm standing there in front of TV cameras and various other things, and quite a few people had still stayed around for that presentation, and my girls did not care what else was going on. They just saw a big thing of sand, and especially the youngest was like, I'm all over this. Like, I don't care. And she was, doing a LeBron chalk toss over her head and everything like that. Like, that's just the perspective thing. Like, yeah, okay, Dad's standing up here getting a trophy, but I'm way more into the sand than anything else. And that's cool. Like, that's what it's great to have that and have them be a part of it. And, we can have a bit of a laugh about it. But it was, it also made, great little viral moment there while I'm standing there kind of having a giggle with her playing in the bunker. And I think Mum's standing there going, oh no, my kid's being crazy. But, everyone sees it as, as what it is. It's just a couple of young girls having fun in a big sandpit.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Honestly, great moment. And yeah, just a reflection on sort of your family as a whole, and you just not trying to take life too seriously. I think that's important. As we start to look ahead to the future, I mentioned the rarity of security in professional golf with now having your tour card for the next couple of years. How does that impact your planning in terms of schedule looking forward? Are we likely to see more of you in Europe, or is it PGA playoffs towards the end of the year? How's things looking?
Yeah, I mean, this year's nice. I should definitely be in the first two playoff events. And then I kind of get to pick my schedule at the end of the year. So I'm going to go back to Europe and play a couple of events, Wentworth and French Open, and still trying to figure out what I'm going to play at the end of the year. But there's going to be a nice break in there as well. I think up to this point, I've played 18 events, and it's not even the end of June yet.
Whoa.
So that's a lot of golf. But there's been a couple of events added in there that I wasn't in. Those signature events, the couple of majors I played my way into last minute. Like, they're great. You're not going to skip those events, even getting into them last minute. So, the good thing now is I can actually make a plan. Same for next year. Like, I should be in that 50. I should get all the signature events for next year. I'll get Kapalua at the start of the year. And it just gives me some certainty. Like, I can plan a schedule for next year basically as soon as the PGA Tour schedule comes out. Now, I'm in the Masters, I'm in the PGA, I'm in the Open for next year. I've got to get into the US Open still, but world ranking is obviously in a good place. So that makes everything just a whole lot easier. As I said earlier, like, the PGA Tour does a great job of making you have to play to try to get into things, whether it's trying to get into the signature events or, trying to get into the playoffs or trying to get into a major or whatever it is. And I felt like I've been chasing my tail the last couple of years, trying to get into those events, not quite getting there. Right. And then obviously I'm, giving myself a good chance for next year to be in all of them. And then, if you're in all of them, you've got a pretty good chance to stay in all of them. Obviously, you still need to play some really good golf. There's a bunch of guys who are in them this year that'll drop out. But obviously there's more points, and you've got shorter fields and everything like that in those signature events, and they're the events that you want to play. That the ones the best players play week in, week out. And I can, as we've kind of been joking on tour, like, I get to play PGA Tour A now rather than PGA Tour B. So like, that's been really cool, and looking forward to being able to do a bit more planning for that next year. Like, actually not be like, okay, well, this is kind of what I'm going to do, but if I do this, then I'm going to do this. Like, we've probably had 5 or 6 different scenarios going on, and I don't even think scenario A was what's just gone on the last 6 weeks. So it's it's nice to be able to do a bit more planning, and I've got status out here now to the end of 28 with 2 wins, which is really cool. So having that job security is unbelievable, really. You don't get a lot of it in golf. I've been lucky the last few years that I've been able to play with it, and that's certainly, or at least in Europe, and that certainly makes makes it a little bit easier. You still feel like you're trying to play your way into stuff, and stuff's important, but not starting the start of next year going, well, I've got to play good to keep my job is certainly a better. That's a nice position to be in. To know I've got a job for a few years out here.
Yeah, fantastic. After you had a lean period there to come back and have this just incredible run, and then to have that security, you must be feeling so stoked about that. So great for you and your family. We may as well leave it there. I think that's a good place to tie the bow on it. Thank you so much for your time. Please,
Easy, mate.
Please do go get some rest now.
I think I'm going to have a shower. I've never sweated so much in a podcast in my life.
Awesome, mate. Well, all the best. We'll be cheering for you back home here, and hope to see some more of you soon.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.